p.m. 2018. We're going to call the meeting to order. Vin, can we have the roll call, please?
Sure. Deputy Mayor Long.
Here.
Councilmember Ciccera.
Here.
Napolitani.
Here.
Shepherd.
Here.
And Mayor Siciliano.
Here. The notice requirement of the Open Public Meeting Act for this meeting has been satisfied. A copy of the annual notice was sent to the Asbury Park Press Coaster and filed in the office of the clerk and Town Hall on December 28th, 2017. There are two fire exits, one in the rear of the building, and that kind of takes you down the hallway, meanders down and out to the parking lot there, and one right up here in the front, and this will take you out to the front parking lot. If you have a cell phone, you can keep it on if you like, if you want to take pictures, that's fine. I just ask you that you turn the volume down or put it on vibrate. If you need to make a call, just go out into the hallway because everything's picked up. We tape and record all the meetings, and so a lot of that ambient noise gets picked up there and it just kind of interrupts the signal. So that's it. So tonight we have some very special folks here with us tonight, but first we're going to do a Pledge of Allegiance. So I'm going to ask everybody please rise for a salute to the flag, and then please remain standing for a moment of silent prayer as we lost one of our great presidents this week, and think of him and his family tonight. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We're going to go a little out of order tonight. Instead of doing our reports first, we're going to come down because we have some folks to honor here. Do we have any veterans here tonight with us other than Doc? Okay, so we're going to recognize you also, and Don, of course, yes. So we want to thank our veterans, and usually at this meeting we like to recognize you guys for your service, and so we'll do that properly when we come down later. But also we have the soccer team here that had another spectacular year, right? Let's hear it for those guys, this Ocean Township soccer team. So we're going to come down from the days, we're going to talk about this, and then we'll call Coach up to help us out. You got everything then?
It's all done.
No problem. Okay, so this isn't the first time we've seen a lot of these guys, right? I think I remember we had this juggernaut 8th grade team in like 4 years ago. I think this is like a carryover. You all matured, you got bigger, your legs got stronger, you got a lot faster, right? And you're scoring. So Ocean Township soccer team were just CJ3 state champs or state champs all over? CJ3? Oh, so Group 3 state champs, overall state champs, right? And we had a couple of kids go on to high honors here. So we have a couple of all-state players on the team this year, right? Oh, he's got more. Here comes Coach. He's got all the goodies. We were just about to call you up, Coach. No, we just started. You didn't miss a thing. Come on up, John. Well, let's give it up for Coach John Teletsky. He's coach of the team. Welcome again. And I was just talking a little bit about the team. I'm going to let you finish off and give us some highlights here. So, yeah, stand over here, John, because I'm going to ask you a few questions. So, I was just saying, so this team was overall Group 3 state champs, right?
They were overall Group 3 state champs.
And then we had a couple of kids also that received state honors and also all conference honors, or?
Yes, there was 4 players today that were named either second team or third team All-State. Max Winters, Zach Sintic, Santino Harding, and Leo Montesinos. And we had a bunch of players also make first team All-Shore. All 4 of those players did. James Schutz and Luke Yates made second and third team.
Right, so I looked it up today, and that's great, because when you look at the other teams, like the all-state players, when you look at the all-state teams, first, second, and third team, you see a consistency with schools, powerhouse schools. And to see Ocean Township finally up there, recognized with all these schools throughout the state, that's really cool. I mean, you get like chills up your spine. It's very, very cool to see that. So why don't you bring up the rest of your coaches for us?
Sure. We have Jeff Soros here tonight. And our JV and freshman coaches are not here tonight, but that's Rich Stekon and Vincenzo Franze.
And we have certificates for you guys at the end. We'll hold up our certificates and we'll take pictures with them. But right now, what we want to do is, Coach, tell me about how the year went. So you guys started out, I mean, I knew you guys were good because I had this team here before. I think we had them when they were 8th graders. I just mentioned that. So this is a group that you've had together for a while. We have a good mix, sophomores, juniors, seniors, mostly seniors. What do we have?
18 seniors and 6 underclassmen.
Awesome. So we have some new people coming up and always building this program, right?
Of course.
So how'd the season start? Any shaky games out there or any scares?
Oh, yeah, there was one shaky game in particular. It was the Manasquan game. We had a 2-0 lead with about 13 minutes left, and there was a horrific call, which upset the coaching staff very much. And after that call, the ensuing free kick, there was an own goal, so that means we kicked the ball in the other team's in our net and scored for them, frankly. So instead of finding a way to hold on to the game, they scored with about a minute left, and next thing you know, in overtime, they scored 2 minutes later. We had a real meltdown, and fortunately, we responded after that game.
Okay, so that was a blemish on the record, right? All right, well, that happens.
It does, it does.
All right, so you guys bounced back from that and then pretty much on a roll from there, or you had a couple more scrapes, or how'd it go?
Yeah, at that point, we regrouped. We beat Neptune, who was a pretty good team. They made the Central Jersey 3 semifinal. We beat Colts Neck, and they were in the Central Jersey final. And we were doing pretty well until the last regular season game. Well, there was a couple red cards. I'm not going to talk about that. And then the Wall game was our last loss before we went on that 10-game undefeated run.
Nice. So going into the end of the season tournaments now, you have short conference, and then you go into the states, and then you go into, the end of the year, everything. You felt good. You guys were on a roll pretty much.
Oh, yeah. Once the short conference hit, I think it brought the best out of the team. After a Raritan game especially, I thought that was a nice moment for us because we beat them on our home grass, 3-0. We looked very poised, and then that led us to the short conference semifinal against Homedale, a team that beat us 7-1 the previous season in the short conference final.
Wow. Awesome. So revenge is sweet this year. Yeah, that's great, and it's always good to avenge those losses, right? And the red cards, guys, don't worry about it. It just means you really put it all out there. You play with your heart, and, hey, that happens. Sometimes the coaches get one too, though, right? But that happens too. Almost. Yeah, they want to do. Anyway, Coach, so we're going to turn the mic over to you, and we have the certificates. Have you call up the individuals here and talk a little bit about each one, if you like.
Okay, no problem. All right, we'll start with the underclassmen in the audience. Well, it's perfect. Michael D'Elia, he's a marking back for us. He's going to be part of our future defense. Got a lot of time this year, a lot of experience. Next player is a freshman goalkeeper. He was one of our guys who got a little bit of time this year, and he was really helping out because it allowed our other backup keeper to get some JV time. This is Paco Costello. All right, another underclassman. He was part of our defense which really helped get the job done all season long. I think we had 14 shutouts, and one of these guys was a reason why, Elias Brandemart.
He's a freshman.
This player was his second year for the Spartans. He came all the way from Hawaii as a junior, and he's been a pleasant addition to the program. Griffin Adolph. Nice job.
I thought soccer players
I don't think we said aloha enough in our locker room, actually.
are monsters. Little.
All right, I don't believe he's here in the audience, but one of our seniors, Eric Vasquez. The man behind the defense. He made his legend known against Homedale when he saved a goal from one of the best, Anthony Arena, and kept the ball out of the net all game. And from there on, helped lead the Spartans to this epic, monumental season. Max Winters.
So, Max, you're going on to play baseball though, right?
Yes, sir.
What? No more soccer?
Nah,
I read that today in the paper. Good job. Good job. So he's a threat in two sports.
Yes, and he's also on the varsity English team at the high school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Overachiever.
All right. Another guy in the back, he was a co-captain for us, been on the varsity for 3 years. He actually led the team in assists from that center back position, and he was a all-state selection too, an all-shore selection for the last 2 seasons for the Spartans. Zach Sintik.
Thank you.
I remember you from a couple of years ago, right? You got your
The
haircut.
long hair.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I remembered, Zach.
Thank you.
All right. Another senior, very unheralded. He made a couple key plays in a couple key games, and he also had a nice goal, beautiful finish in the semifinal of Group 3 against Seneca. And that's my man, Andrew Shaw. Good job, kid.
Yeah, we start lining up on the other side, guys, so we can balance this out here.
All right, one of our future stars, he was a freshman. He's scored a couple goals on the season, and as the season progressed, he found some time on the outside mid, and we're expecting a lot out of him. He played a lot of quality minutes in the final against Milburn. That's Aiden Tysony. Yes, sir. This guy last year as a junior was a little injury plagued, and then senior year came around, and he was injured for a couple of games, and we were getting worried that history would repeat itself. But history did not repeat itself, because by the time he came back, we were sputtering a bit, and all of a sudden we were really going at that point. He had 5 header goals on the season, which was pretty incredible, and the last one came when it mattered most. Well, that's not true if you want to count the Homedale game. It depends how we view these games, but for me, the Milburn final, beautiful goal to end the season and end his career. That's James Schutz. 4-year varsity player, too.
You got a lot out of the guys, huh? Great job. It's a great season.
All right, so 3 freshmen up here today. The last one was a guy who's very skilled. We're expecting a lot out of him in the future. Unfortunately, there was an injury in the middle of the season that derailed him. Kai from Matawan really took a cheap shot on him and he fell on the turf. But we are expecting big things from this guy. Brian Miranda.
Watch out for those slide tackles, huh?
Rob, put him next to you.
Another one of our special defenders. He made a switch his junior year for the better of the team to play in the back, and in the end, he wanted to be there all the time. He's a rugged player. He's really got the job done time and time again, and he did have an offensive side too, and it was nice to see him get on the board against Nottingham. He's another guy too that's on the Spartan Update at school, and he does a lot of things within the school. Homecoming king, in fact, Mark Morrow.
Another guy from that old team, right? I remember. Good job. Yeah, they grew up.
This player came to us in his final season. He moved from West Long Branch to Ocean Township, and we are all very glad that he did, because he brought spunk and energy and grit and a blue-collar mentality to the team, along with some super skills, which were on display in key moments in the season. He was the one that had that cross to James over there with some adept footwork before it. Leonardo Montesinos.
You don't know what that's from, do you? No. That's in the Mary Tale Silver Show.
I don't think he's here today, but this is a guy who helps us possess the ball in the middle of the park. He's a junior, so fortunately he'll be back another year, and that's Robert Lopes. Another guy, been on our program for 4 years. I was fortunate to not only coach him on the varsity this year, but also on the freshman team just 3 years ago. He was a trooper for our program and someone who'll be missed, Alex O'Hara. I like that throwback shirt, too. All right, and we had a brother act here, and again, this guy's not here, but he's another guy who I coached on the freshman team in addition to this year's varsity team and last year's varsity team. Smart player, Jonathan Lopes. Oh, and another guy who transferred to our school during his junior year. He was here for 2 years with us. He was the life of the party in a lot of ways with the team. The team really appreciated his humor. Kirk Jones. Our junior goalkeeper, he was the guy behind Max in case that Max ever had a problem, and Max missed a couple of games. So fortunately, he was able to get his feet wet, had one shutout for us, in fact. And again, I said at the banquet a couple of weeks ago, last week even, Isaac had a key stop in a scrimmage against Anthony Arena, so I know he's going to come back next year with a lot of confidence. Isaac Greenspan. Second team All-State, first team All-Shore, one of the more talented forwards in the state, obviously. Scored 20 goals for us. That's a great number as far as Ocean history is concerned. It's a hard number to get. I think there's only been 5 to 7 of these guys in history of our program. He's a 4-year starter. He's our golden boot for the last 3 years. That's Santino Harding. Another senior, I don't see him here today, but he's one of our hardest workers. His dad was a coach, and he worked very hard for our program the last 4 years. That's Sean Reed. I have the pleasure of coaching this guy in 2 sports. He's someone who came to the season healthy after being injured for the last 2 years before that. He was a stalwart in the back, in the middle of the park, sacrificed his body for the good of the team, and was a very smart and dedicated player for us. Again, a team with 14 shutouts. That's Mr. Brent Gaber. All right, another senior. Again, I don't think he could be here tonight, but he's a guy who was in our program for 3 years. Nice kid to be around. That's Kenny Alessi. And his buddy, his partner in crime, again, I don't see him here today, but another good athlete, fun player to be around, good attitude, Macintosh Destouches.
And then this one, Coach, we have is for you. You have one more? Who do we have? Who are we missing?
Who are we missing?
Oh, Vin.
I don't know.
Okay.
Who are we missing?
Mr. Yates.
And our last player, co-captain,
Oh, co-captain, that's why.
yes, he was he was definitely the glue of the team. He was a guy in the middle of the park who connected the offense and the defense. He had epic throws. He found people at the right time. He was a good distributor in the middle of the park, and I think he gave us our blue-collar identity and grit. He'll be missed. Luke Yates.
And Luke had honors also, right?
Oh, yeah. Luke was third team All-Shore. He was a first team All-Monmouth selection, and he was I know he was an all-group, I think, third team selection, too.
So, yeah, I saw your name in there. I don't know how our clerk missed your certificate, but I saw your name in the paper. That's more important.
I'll tell you how I missed it. You were
Yeah.
so good that you deserve more than just a certificate.
You're going to get it. You're getting a bronze plaque. Anyway, and we have something here now for you, Coach, and we gave one to the other coaches as well. And just another great season. You're turning out team after team, but this really was a special year for you, got to admit, right? I mean, you took it all, and you really had a great group behind you. And these guys have played together for a long time, and they really, it shows. And so on behalf of us, we just want to give you this. Thank you for another great year. So, we're going to ask all you guys to come on in, take a knee in the front, because our photographer for the coaster is going to take a picture, and we can get you all up here. Oh, yeah, put the trophies guys in the front here, and maybe Coach should hold one of the guys, that's fine. Yeah, all the plaques and trophies right in the front so Don can get them. There you go. Yeah, right in the middle. That's fine.
No, Rob, you don't have to take a knee.
He was talking to me, you're good, Don. That was good, Don.
Hang on.
You gotta push the button. She'll send you one.
Hey, Vinny, did you give him the camera?
Somebody take a picture.
No.
You wanna get in the picture, Don?
Hang on. Sid Tech will give it to you. Okay. That's big.
All right, moms and dads, now's your opportunity to come up with the cameras. Yeah, the parents can come on up if you want, while we have the guys still. It's not going to be long, believe me.
I'm sure it's on my seal. Whatever.
Take it one more down or what? Okay. Congratulations again. Let's give it up for the 2018 champs. Good job, Coach. Thank you. Appreciate it. Now, good job, Mark.
Congratulations. Terrific job.
I want to announce that for all the parents and the kids, today was the invasion of Pearl Harbor. Terrible, terrible day in the history of the United States and around the world. But, from that time on, the resolve of the United States and the Army and the Navy and all of our armed forces really put together, and we got out there and we really showed the world that, together, we're a force never to be stopped. So we came back from that. But with that, we always like to honor our veterans around this time. We usually do it in November and December, as you guys remember. But since our meeting was early, we always carry it to this meeting. So thank you. We have two veterans here that showed up. I'm going to start with Doc first to talk a little bit about his service and about a special event you had a couple weeks ago on Veterans Day that we were invited to.
Cedar Village every year has a veterans program. And we invite all the veterans that are in the community to come join us. And it's a presentation. Not only do we have a celebration of veterans, we also make sure that we don't forget the soldiers that are overseas. And we collect for packages to be sent over there, goods, etc., etc. I served during the Korean War time. I was overseas. Let's let it go with that.
So your service, Korean War, and you had told us before you were overseas, and that was, and we thank you for your service, Doc. That was wonderful. Awesome. And thank you also for having that wonderful Veterans Day service that we attended. That was great. Now, Don Geiger, I remember you had an interesting story about your service. You care to share that again?
Yes, I had the pleasure of having the last expense-paid cruise on a troop ship to Korea. Now, it wasn't actual combat. It was considered hostile duty because every so often some North Koreans came south to shoot us. With that said, most of them couldn't hit a barn from inside the barn, but they still did it. And then also a tour in Germany when these fun groups were running around called Bader-Meinhof, blowing things up. So it was an interesting time. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Well, thank you for your service. We want to honor both you gentlemen. We've honored you before, but once again, we just want to thank you guys for doing that and serving us. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Don. Hang on, I think Don's going to take a quick picture here of you guys. Get it? No?
We've learned that. You know, we have a portrait artist in the back.
All right. Okay. Thank you, guys. We're going to continue the meeting. Come up in the dais. Okay. At this time, I'm going to go down the line and see if any council members have any reports. John, you have anything for us?
No report.
Donna?
Just a reminder that our rain date we had to use for the Christmas party, which will be on Sunday at 4:30. We have Santa Claus coming. We also have a lot of new and different ideas for the children to do. It's going to be in front of the Historical Society, Historical Museum. And last Sunday, we did have our menorah lighting, the first night of Hanukkah, and that was very successful right out here in Town Hall.
Good, thank you, Donna. Rich, you have something for us?
Yes, I do, Mayor. As you pointed out just a couple of moments ago, tomorrow is the anniversary of the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, December 7th. 1941, as President Roosevelt said, a date which will live in infamy. The surprise attack at Pearl Harbor killed 2,403 service members, wounded 1,178, and sank or destroyed 6 U.S. ships and destroyed 169 U.S. Navy and Army Air Corps planes. It launched the United States involvement into World War II. At Pearl Harbor, a floating monument over the remains of the destroyed USS Arizona is visited by people from all over the world. I have visited that monument. It was an unforgettable experience. As Americans, we must never forget Pearl Harbor. That's what I have tonight, Mayor.
Thank you, Rich.
Sure.
Rob?
No report.
Mike?
No report.
Marty?
No report, but a thank you to Mr. Geiger here, who provides me with a card for your Jewish holidays and Hanukkah, and I do appreciate that. I know you guys got your cards, and candy canes as well. Thank you, Doc. Appreciate it.
Did you get any gelt or dreidel?
No gelt.
dreidel, I was gonna
No, I didn't get a dreidel, but they're made out of clay. They're very rarely dry and ready. So.
Well, Anyway, yes, happy Hanukkah to those who observe, and may the light of Hanukkah shine on you and all of us this holiday season. Also, we have a proclamation tonight, supporting the driver drives over or get pulled over 2018 year-ending holiday crackdown, something that we do, so therefore be it resolved that the Township of Ocean declares its support of the drives over or get pulled over 2018 year-end holiday crackdown on December 7th, 2018 through January 1st, 2019, and pledges to increase the awareness of dangers of drinking and driving. And very important to be mindful of that this time of year. Okay. Get to our open meeting notices. The purpose of the public meeting is to solely ask questions, understand resolutions, and vouchers that appear on the agenda, and not an occasion for a public hearing on an ordinance. All questions not related to an item on this agenda should be asked during the public comments portion at the conclusion of the meeting. Does anybody have any questions or anything about the consent agenda or vouchers or anything? Come on up to the microphone and please state your name and address for the record.
And remember, I just said something nice about you, so.
I'll think about it.
Okay.
Don Geiger, 1108 Grassmere Avenue. Actually, not a lot, but let me start with number 32. Child Care Resources, CPR Workshop, registration. How many people?
3 employees.
3. Okay. Now, in looking through that thing there, I know now what Custom Care Services does. There's 42. It just says September invoice, doesn't give a address anything.
It was property maintenance. I don't have the address for you. I can find out.
Okay, well, just curious. And then underneath it was Christie Lane. Now I know what they do. I don't know whether if you can fit in a little bit more there, so more questions don't arise.
Sure.
Just a suggestion. And I was looking at, not that I wonder what it is, on 49 and 50. There's about an $800 difference between October and November. Is that due to the holidays in November or what?
Yes.
Okay, that was easy. And I see 57, that's for the yeshiva building,
Correct.
what used to be, and they're really getting over, I think.
For the appraisal?
Well, no, not the appraisal.
Okay.
What they're trying to sell it for. Just saying. Now, this question, I think Vince has to answer. Hello? Yeah, there you are. 68, clerk's office, CDs. Now, I'm just wondering, do they come in a plain brown wrapper or not?
They don't.
Oh,
The CDs we use for the recording.
I know. And then there's the, actually, underneath that, the Grand Farloons, CCC Assembly. Where, what, who?
It was a Clean Communities
Oh,
Assembly. They
yeah.
had it 2 shows at the elementary schools.
Okay. And then we come down to 75 hotel rooms for 2018 League, I'm guessing League of Municipalities.
Correct.
How many rooms?
10, maybe.
I think it's more than that. They weren't that much.
Yeah.
That's probably at least 20. I'm going to say, I'm sorry.
Night.
It's going to be over 15. I'll say that, between 15 and 20, because they're like 150
Okay.
a room.
And then 89, Jungle Laser. October, nothing else after that.
It's our monthly payment. They do all of our code enforcement,
okay.
that kind.
Okay, so just, I was curious, you just had the month there, and again, no further things. And then 115, Marks Stephen, reimburse certification fees for,
He's a counselor.
okay. And moving right along, we'll get to 151, Monmouth County SPCA, and there's nothing in the description block.
151 is the ship.
131. I'm sorry. I'm getting dyslexic or something. 131.
It's our monthly.
That's our monthly payment for them to act as our animal control
Okay,
officers.
okay. Because you have September, should have been October.
Yeah.
Somehow that got left out, but that's okay. Now, 144 is very interesting because it says police department or PD, admin, violation charges. Did they violate Easy Pass?
Well, they were transporting a prisoner to Philadelphia, and I guess it was a time-sensitive type thing, so yes.
Okay, just curious. And then 146, New Jersey School Age Care Coalition, conference registration. Probably human resources, the
Yeah, it was.
family.
It was one person. It was a leadership class.
Ooh, kind of expensive, but that's okay. The same goes with the right underneath it, 147, executive leadership. That's for the chief.
That was Lieutenant Skank.
Okay. And then again, you have Association Chiefs of Police mid-year conference meeting, $900. It's 149.
That was the chief and the 4 lieutenants.
Okay, so more than one person. And again, 150. What did we get? Well, $10.20. Forget it.
It was a dog license fee.
Forget it. It's not worth the time. And then 176, Rutgers Youth Sports Research, coaches training packets. You know how many packets?
30, and it's for all our volunteers.
Okay. And now, you probably know because I've seen them. The sign 191, 30 by 30 deer crossing signs. And every time I see them, I wonder, how does a deer know this is where the deer should cross? But anyway, how many did we buy for $545?
10.
10.
Never heard it.
And let's see. Okay. Now you've got a couple here. 241, 242. It just says office supplies. The first one's 573.66, and the other is 151.52. Doesn't say.
There are various departments. I don't have a breakdown for it.
Okay. Now, 243. I'm sorry, we had to get a magazine rack for the reception area?
Yeah, trying to make it look a little more professional, yeah.
Well, for $282, I could probably wing one together for you.
It's a very nice magazine rack.
I'm sure it is. Gold engraved and stuff like this. Okay. And actually, there's another 246. WB Mason Supplies. It's just
More
wherever.
Yeah.
All right. And as Bugs would say, or one of those dudes, that's all, folks.
Great. Thank you, Don.
Thank you, Mr.
Anybody else have anything on the resolutions that have been presented at this time? Not for public comment, just anything as to the resolutions or vouchers? No? Okay, seeing and hearing no one, we're going to go right to somebody please offer the minutes of November 8th, 2018 workshop.
I will offer those minutes.
Second?
I'll second it.
Deputy Mayor Long.
Yes.
Council members Achara.
Yes.
Napolitani.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
And Mayor Siciliano.
Yes, and for adoption, we have resolutions 18-208 to 18-218. Someone please offer.
I will offer those resolutions.
Second?
I'll second them.
Deputy Mayor Long.
Yes.
Council members Achara.
Yes.
Napolitani.
I vote yes on all except for 18-210, which I will be abstaining due to the fact that I'm on that foundation.
Okay. Councilwoman Shepherd.
Yes.
And Mayor Siciliano.
Yes. For individual actions, we have vouchers in the amount of $11,875,850.98. Someone please offer.
I will offer the voucher list.
Second?
I'll second it.
Deputy Mayor Long.
Yes.
Council members Achara.
Yes.
Napolitani.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
And Mayor Siciliano.
Yes, for resolutions, we have 18-213, authorize a change order number 2 with Tavisco's Enterprise, Inc. for additional work associated with the reconstruction of the Waden Activity Pool in the amount of $8,832.45. This is for a pool cover for the new activity pool. Had to be custom made. Someone please offer.
I offer resolution 18-213.
Second?
I'll second it.
Deputy Mayor Long.
Yes.
Council members Achara.
Yes.
Napolitani.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
And Mayor Siciliano.
Yes. 18214, authorize the tax collector to issue refunds to the following taxpayers who have overpaid their fourth quarter 2018 taxes. Block 80218, Block 15301, Lot 5, and Block 78, Lot 4. Someone please offer.
I offer 18-214.
Second.
I'll second it.
Deputy Mayor Long.
Yes.
Council members Achara.
Yes.
Napolitani.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
And Mayor Siciliano.
Yes. 18215, authorize the tax collector to issue a refund credit to those taxpayers who have received a favorable state tax appeal judgment.
I offer 18-215.
And I'll second it.
Deputy Mayor Long.
Yes.
Council members Achara.
Yes.
Napolitani.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
And Mayor Siciliano.
Yes. 18216, authorize an amendment to the contract award to Custom Care Services, Inc. for property maintenance on vacant and abandoned properties, increasing the contract by $5,000, bringing the total contract amount to $15,000. Someone please offer.
I offer 18-216.
Second.
I'll second it.
Deputy Mayor Long.
Yes.
Council members Achara.
Yes.
Napolitani.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
And Mayor Siciliano.
Yes. And 18217, authorize a Chapter 159 budget amendment to the following Special Traffic Safety Enforcement STEP 2018 grant. Someone please offer.
I offer 18-217.
Second.
And I'll second it.
Deputy Mayor Long.
Yes.
Council members Achara.
Yes.
Napolitani.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
And Mayor Siciliano.
Yes. And 18219, authorize the Director of Finance to cancel the balance checks as follows. Old outstanding checks and reconciliation items, old grant balances, and outstanding capital ordinance balances. Someone please offer.
I offer 18-219.
Second.
And I'll second it.
Deputy Mayor Long.
Yes.
Council members Achara.
Yes.
Napolitani.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
And Mayor Siciliano.
Yes. And for tonight, we have adoption ordinance 2305. Ben, would you read the title?
An ordinance creating an open space trust fund.
Okay. Someone please open the public hearing on ordinance number 2305.
I'll open the public hearing.
Second.
Second.
Deputy Mayor Long.
Yes.
Council members Achara.
Yes.
Napolitani.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
And Mayor Siciliano.
Yes. Anybody wishing to be heard on ordinance 2305, this is our open space trust fund, open space tax. Please come up to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. Seeing or hearing no one, someone make a motion to close the public hearing on ordinance 2305.
I'll make a motion to close 2305.
Second.
Second.
Deputy Mayor Long.
Yes.
Council members Achara.
Yes.
Napolitani.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
And Mayor Siciliano.
Yes. Action please on ordinance 2305
I'll move 2305
and publish according to law.
and publish according to law.
Second.
Second.
Deputy Mayor Long.
Yes.
Council members Achara.
I am voting no on this. Don't believe we should be increasing taxes at this time. And while there were 40% of the town that voted no on the referendum, I'm going to represent the 40%. So voting no on that one.
Councilmember Napolitani.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
And Mayor Siciliano.
Yes. For introduction tonight, we have ordinance 2312. Ben, would you read the title, please?
An ordinance prohibiting certain business users associated with the growth, production, and sale of recreational and medicinal marijuana within the Township of Ocean.
All right, someone please offer the introduction of 2312.
I'll introduce ordinance 2312.
Second.
Second.
Deputy Mayor Long.
Yes.
Council members Achara.
Yes.
Napolitani.
No.
Shepherd.
Yes.
Mayor Siciliano.
No. That'll have its public hearing on January 10th. Also, for introduction of ordinance 2313. Ben, would you read the title?
Sure. An ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 21 of the Comprehensive Land Development Ordinance, amending Section 21-6.
All right, someone may please introduce ordinance 2313.
I'll introduce ordinance 2313.
Second.
Second.
Deputy Mayor Long.
Yes.
Council members Achara.
Yes.
Napolitani.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
And Mayor Siciliano.
Yes. Also, for introduction, ordinance 2314. Bill, would you read the title, please?
An ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 3, Section 10 of the Revised General Ordinances entitled Removal of Snow and Ice.
Someone please introduce ordinance 2314.
I'll introduce ordinance 2314.
Second.
Second.
Deputy Mayor Long.
Yes.
Council members Achara.
Yes.
Napolitani.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
And Mayor Siciliano.
Yes, it'll also have its public hearing on January 10th. And finally, ordinance 2315 for introduction. Ben, would you read the title?
An ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 5, Section 15 of the Revised General Ordinances entitled Licensing of Cats.
Great. Someone please introduce ordinance 2315.
I'll introduce ordinance 2315.
Second?
Second,
Deputy Mayor Long.
yes.
Councilmembers Achara.
Yes.
Napolitani.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
And Mayor Siciliano.
Yes, okay. And that'll have its public hearing on January 10th as well, sorry. At this time, anybody from the public has anything they wish to share with the mayor and council, please come up to the microphone and state your name and address for the record.
Anybody?
Come on up, Mr. Sullivan.
Yeah, my name is, Edward Sullivan, Edward Vincent Colleen Sullivan. I've lived in this town, I love Ocean Township. I've lived here since 1980 with my family. The town did take me to court, I guess as a lot of people are aware of. I've certainly gotten to know a lot of the great people in the town. Judge Timothy McGochran's a great guy, I did get clobbered financially with this, but he did not throw anybody out, which I'm grateful, because there's an issue within the court as to whether I'm a family or not. The people who I want to have lived with me, who've been with me for a long time, I consider a family. My wife, Janet Diane Sullivan, the love of my life, she's been gone for 4 years, including her oldest son, Bobby, who died in 2001. My 3 brothers are gone, my parents are gone, my stepchildren's parents, they're not gone, they're with God, but they're deceased. The way I live, I really do consider myself a family unit. I know Judge McGochran, great. He had to stick with the ordinances regulating the type of people, how long they're there, or why they're there. I believe it's really not the right of the township, but I lost. But Judge McGochran said something profound. He said, this court case is over, and I'll be subsidizing the town to a tune of about $8,000. Graciously, it'll be $100 a month so I can eat. I'm very thankful for that, for grace. But what he did say, which is profound, and it affects my rights, but more important than that, it affects people that I consider to be my family. These are people I love, care for, care about. I'm not picking people up from the Asbury bus station and saying, hey, I got a crib, come crash. That's not what I'm doing. This is my family now. And the judge said the town now has recourse. Now, I'm powerless over what recourses the town chooses to use. He said they can go to Superior Court and get an injunction and throw us all out. I plead with you not to do that to me and my family around Christmas time or Hanukkah. It's just not a nice thing. We, to my knowledge, are satisfactory to our neighbors, though, again, you have great people, Kate Maloney, Tom Gironda, David Spira, nice people. When they come and visit in the morning, we're always like, hello, and our 2 dogs are 2 little dogs that are sweet. I don't think we're a threat, a problem, and certainly don't wish to annoy our neighbors in any way. But Judge McGochran pointed out what the town chooses to do is what's going to come at me. He said if I moved to a farm community, it'd be easy or on me, but I like it in Ocean Township. I don't want to leave, and I really don't think I should have to leave. We're basically a Christian household that loves are we perfect? No, but we love our neighbors. We don't wish, as far as I know, there's no complaints, but we live in the system of anonymous complaints. If somebody is complaining against us, I don't know who they are, Tom said there is somebody speaking to the town manager saying, what can you do about it? And I honestly don't understand, because we don't, we are truly a community of gracious living because we have so much to be grateful for. But I believe, and I wish to be gracious, we should be a township of gracious people. I shouldn't bother anybody, and I bend over backwards not to, but at the same time, people that I choose and love and care about and want with me shouldn't be living under the threat of being booted out of town. And the ball does lie in your court now, because I don't want to fight with the town. I don't want to appeal. It's a formula for contentiousness and poverty, and I don't think you guys are the only recourse I have. The judge says it's up to the town what they're going to do to me. If they want to kick us out for zoning, it's a sad state of affairs. I mean, you know, and this, to me, is a lot more important whether it's a Wawa and Steel Road and West Park, because this affects people, and they're not. They say people transient nature. Well, I choose to have these people who I love and care about, each one, live with me, and they're not transient nature. And I don't have people going in and out. 5-year-old Brian goes to the school, you know, his disability, he's doing very well, he's happy. We're basically happy, and we don't want to bother anyone, but we would really love to be, you know, left alone. And what comes at us is really does fall in your hands.
Can I ask you a couple of questions?
The ball's in your court.
Mr. Sullivan, let me ask you a couple of questions, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
How many people live in your house?
We have, I'd have to count them. Honestly, I'm being honest with you, I don't keep track. Michael and his son are in one part. And in ours, we have...
Michael, is that your son? Who's Michael?
Michael is my stepson.
Stepson.
And his son. So his son is my step-grandson.
Right.
He attends the Ocean Township School.
Okay. And who else lives in the house?
As I go through it, because they wanted us out of the living room and dining rooms, which we, you know, basically complied with. So it's Paula, Ed.
Paula who?
Paula Calabrese.
Okay.
And, you know, we're not boyfriend and girlfriend, but we did get a bunk bed to get me out of the dining room.
Okay. So Paula Calabrese, go ahead.
There's Brandon Overbeck, who's basically a nice young man that's helped me basically to comply, you know, to fix up our house. We have needed some work. Very fine Christian gentleman. And then I'm just going through the house visually. Then we have Patricia Whitehead, her friend Ursula Johnson, and her daughter, and, you know, I want to see them get married, but they're not. Her daughter and, you know, the father of her grad, there's basically her daughter, Elizabeth Whitehead, David Wyndham, and Brian Wyndham, their son. They do stay with me. It's kind of great to come home and see life and people. To me, you know,
Anybody else?
Yes, and then there's Eleanor Thorne is with us. So it's just a lot of people, but we have a large home.
Okay. Eleanor Thorne, anyone else?
Yes. Eleanor Thorne, Natalie Cozine's, you know, back with us. And I'm really trying to, Marie Solide.
Marie what?
Marie Solide, S-O-L-I-D-E. And their daughter, her daughter Tamara Gabriel, and her son Yves Thomas.
What's his name, first name?
Yves. It's a French.
Yeah, like Yves Saint Laurent, Yves Thomas.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Okay. Very articulate.
And myself.
Okay. And how many bedrooms in your house?
Well, in
That
all
are actual bedrooms.
right, which we've gotten 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So you have basically 16 people, and 16 people living in your 5-bedroom house.
No, well, that's not Michael's section. It added at least 2 bedrooms, so it's really 7. I guess we're being taxed on 7 bedrooms. I'm sorry, I didn't include Michael's section in the number of bedrooms. And they're huge rooms, you know. So 7 bedrooms is what we have.
Well, you know, obviously we have regulations in terms of, let me just ask another question. These people who are living it, how long are they living there?
With different people, different amounts of time.
And people come and go, some people leave, some people come in?
Not really. We haven't had anyone new come in for a long, long time. I was way too high and I didn't realize there was these ordinances. Now I'm certainly aware of them.
So you had more people living in there?
Yeah, one time.
All right, and just so you're clear, and I don't know names, but, you know, there have been substantial complaints that led to, you know, these actions that were taken
Right.
by all your, you know, a lot of your neighbors, and not one, not two, but a lot of the neighbors, because you had initially people living in the garage, you had people living, you know, people were living in the car, you had all these different people living there, and I know you're trying to do good work. I know you're trying to do something nice.
Thank you.
But you live in a residential neighborhood, like I live in a residential neighborhood, and I expect to be living next to neighbors who I know who live there, not having different people there all the time, and, you know.
We downsized considerably. There's 7 people that were there that are definitely not.
Okay.
Yeah, some of them took a little bit of effort, a big grace to place them. And, yeah.
Well, nothing's going to happen, I can't speak for the council.
No, nothing's
going
gonna
to
happen
happen before Christmas.
Before New
However,
Year's.
or New Year's.
Well, thank you.
As far as any enforcement action by the town, I don't believe.
Unless we're in violation, but we're
Well, you're probably in violation, but the bottom line here is that perhaps, you know, we'll sit down, maybe with you, and go over this in more detail and see how you can get into compliance with our local ordinances, because there are limits to how many people you can have per bedroom, how many people you can have, you know, in the house, and in addition, I mean, you know, a lot depends on the definition of family. I understand that.
This is my thing. My family.
I understand that.
Unmarried
I understand
family is
that.
gone.
I understand that.
I wish they weren't.
Family has a much broader definition, I accept that. But we will look at all of it, and then perhaps before we take any official action, we'll have a meeting and go over it, okay?
Please call me. I'm not an ogre, you know.
We realize you're doing what you think is the right thing.
Well,
It may not be the right thing for your neighbors, it may be difficult for them, because, like I said, 6 months ago, 4 months ago, when you were doing this, you had a lot of different people there. You had people living all over, and it really wasn't fair.
I would correct that. The only thing I would correct you maybe a little bit on is it was like a year ago. This court.
Okay.
And your judge is great. He's been very kind to, you know, very nice man. And I don't like the municipal court system, but you have a good judge. And, you know, the police are good, and so are the officials. And you know, the garbage men are excellent. You know, the people like Tony that you have some really good people in this town and have for a long time. Please, Joan Brown wrote me a lovely letter saying that she or her son, they never filed complaints against me. I mean, if there's one person, there are 2 reasons. There's us, And as I say, the real problems were like a year ago. I've been
Okay.
steadily, progressively downsizing. The only person that's back that was here is Natalie because of her situation and because she was here with me. She came back, but I've had no new people. There's been nobody new. I've been doing nothing but trying to place people.
All right, like our attorney said,
Yes.
after the holidays, we'll discuss it, Mr. Sullivan, and then...
Thank you for
Yeah,
not throwing
okay.
out anyone.
No one's getting thrown out before Christmas.
Thank
You
you.
have 12 people in what's 5 bedrooms. We'll look at it and we'll have a meeting, okay?
All right, please call me.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here.
You know, I'll bend over backwards. I don't want to...
I don't like to see anybody bending over backwards. That would hurt.
I'll
But we
stand
will...
on my head. I may fall.
That I actually wouldn't mind seeing, but
There
we
wouldn't
will...
there wouldn't be much change coming out of the wallet, you know.
We will have a meeting and we'll discuss it
It's basically
prior
saying, feed me.
to taking any action.
Thank you. That's very, when I come home, there's going to be like a yay.
All right.
And I have 3 words for you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Good.
I'll lay it
Those are actually
on.
6 words, but thank you.
One more is God bless you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? Please come up to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. Oh, okay. If you have something, Don, now's the time. I'm ready to close.
I know.
I gotta go pee.
First of all, I want to say thank you for the nativity scene that you have out, because some municipalities say, we can't do this. Let's not get the American
Don't listen to
Civil
your lawyers.
Liberties Union after us. And I say, eh. Also, for the ordinance 2312. I think it's a good idea. I'm not a fan of having marijuana being sold in the township, grown in the township, anything in the township. You might have people doing it, but, you know. Anyway, I'd like to find out, is there any time frame? Because you had mentioned doing Hope Road in conjunction with Tinton Falls for taking care of that, because it's getting ugly.
We're hoping by spring at this point, because the plants are going to shut down soon.
Yeah, okay. And I would be remiss if I didn't give a big shout out, I mean a big shout out to Public Works, to Mary, Nancy, and Tom, and whoever took care of, because the kids weeded the front garden, for want of a better term, and left it in the trash can, and it rained, and it was like so heavy, it was ridiculous. So I kind of dragged it, took me half an hour out to the curb, and they said, I was still there, and they said it was too heavy. Someone came and took care of it. So
good.
whoever did it, much appreciated. And in closing, Merry Christmas to all, and to all, good night.
Thank you, Mr. Geiger. Anybody else before we make a motion to close? I want to thank you all for coming. Someone please make a motion to close.
Make a motion to close the meeting?
Second it?
Deputy Mayor Long.
Yes.
Council members Achara.
Yes.
Napolitani.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
And Mayor Siciliano.
Yes, thank you all for coming. Meeting's adjourned. We air twice a day at 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. Channel 22 if you have Fios, and 77 for Cablevision. You also view us on YouTube.